What's better than playing video games? Playing with friends! Welcome to the ultimate showdown of the top best multiplayer games. Get ready to put your friendships to the test as we dive into the most exciting, frustrating and hilarious games that will make you wanna throw your PC at the wall. But don't worry, we've got you covered with some tips and tricks to help you come out on top. So grab your snacks, grab your friends, and let's get started. Just make sure to keep the trash talk to the minimum unless you wanna be the one crying in the corner. Starting with number 14, Jelly Brawl Classic is a free multiplayer party game available on Steam. The game offers local and online multiplayer modes, mini games and challenges, and unlockable skins, stages, and mini games through leveling up. The game was released on the 18th of August 2020 and has received mostly positive reviews from players. Get ready to jiggle, flop, and pop your way to the top in this sticky and destructive game. This game requires... And my tips for you are: tip number 1, master the controls. This game has unique controls that take some getting used to. Spend some time practicing and mastering the controls to gain an advantage over your opponents. Tip number 2, use power-ups wisely. The game offers various power-ups that can give you an edge in battle. Use them wisely and strategically to turn the tide of the game in your favor. Tip number 3, communicate with your team. Communication is key in Jelly Brawl. Make sure to communicate with your team and coordinate your strategies to gain the upper hand over your opponent. Number 13 is Badlanders. Badlanders is a competitive survival looter shooter game available free for Steam. The game features a new survival escape mechanism where players can win by evacuating via escape points scattered across the map. Unlike traditional battle royale games, Badlanders focuses on looting and finding the best gear, rather than killing or even surviving. The game is set in a post-apocalyptic world, where players compete against each other to make a fortune on the battlefield. Badlanders was released on Steam Early Access on the 10th of March 2022, and the game requires... My tips for you are: tip number 1, don't worry about dying. Dying is a natural part of the game, so don't worry too much about it. Instead, focus on learning from your mistakes and improving your gameplay. Tip number 2, use your save wisely. Your save is a valuable resource that can help you keep your loot safe. Use it wisely and make sure to deposit your loot regularly to avoid losing it. Tip number 3, take advantage of common items. Common items can be just as useful as rare ones. Make sure to pick up everything you find and use it to your advantage. Also, dropping into the map unarmed and without gear can be a good way to make money. Game number 12, Goose Goose Duck. Goose Goose Duck is a multiplayer social deduction game available on Steam. Players are randomly assigned roles as geese or ducks, with some players being imposters who must sabotage the group's objectives. The game's objective is to complete tasks while trying to unmask the imposters before they can kill everyone. The game features private and public game lobbies and built-in proximity chats. Goose Goose Duck also offers various roles such as Undertaker Duck, Adventurer Goose, Ninja Duck, Avenger Goose, and Identity Thief Duck. The game offers a variety of maps, skins, and game modes, including a classic mode inspired by Among Us, with its humor, deception, and social interaction. Goose Goose Duck is a fun and engaging game for fans of social deduction games, and it requires And my tips for you are, if you are a geese, tip number 1, stay with large groups of people at the start of the match. Doing so will keep you alive longer since ducks don't want to kill people with witnesses around. Tip number 2, always remain suspicious of others while you play. Only clear someone of not being a duck if you stick with them the whole round. And there is only one duck left in the game. Tip number 3, get a feel for the tasks and note how long they take to complete, so you will know if someone's faking them. And my tips for ducks are, tip number 1, don't be afraid to run off alone and find an isolated target. The same applies if you are in a group of 4 with another duck, since you can go for a double kill. Tip number 2, if anyone accuses you of being a duck, redirect attention to others and do your best to keep the target off yourself. Tip number 3, utilize the vents as an escape path. Kill a goose, then hop into a vent to keep yourself away from the area and avoid accusations. Game number 11, Red Match 2, is a free-to-play online multiplayer first-person shooter game available on Steam. The game offers players 15 maps to choose from, multiple weapons, and various game mods, making it a fast-paced and exciting gameplay. One of the unique features of Red Match 2 is the ability to upgrade the player's stats in-game using kill points to gain an advantage over other players. The game also allows users to change room settings to create their own game mods, and it requires. And my tips for you are, tip number 1, master the movement mechanics. The game requires quick reflexes and precise movement. Learn how to slide, jump, and strafe effectively to avoid enemy fire and get the drop on your opponents. Practice makes perfect, so don't be afraid to spend some time in the game's training mod or against bots before jumping into online matches. Tip number 2, choose your loadout wisely. There are a variety of weapons and abilities to choose from in Red Match 2, each with its own strengths and weaknesses. Experiment with different loadouts to find what works best for your playstyle. For example, if you prefer to play aggressively, a shotgun and a speed boost ability might be a good choice. Tip number 3, pay attention to the map. Red Match 2 features a variety of maps with different loadouts and features. Pay attention to the map and use it to your advantage. For example, you can use vertical elements like stairs and platforms to gain a tactical advantage over your opponents. Also, keep an eye out for power-ups and health packs that can give you a boost in battle. Coming up next is game number 10, Synthbiotic Dungeon. Is a roguelike dungeon crawler game available on Steam. The game takes place in a procedurally generated dungeon where players must fight their way through enemies, collect loot, and find a way to escape. The unique aspect of this game is that the dungeons are made up of living organisms, and players must use biotic powers to manipulate the environment and defeat enemies. The game also offers a variety of classes to choose from, each with unique abilities and playstyles. With its challenging gameplay, immersive atmosphere, and innovative mechanics, Synthbiotic Dungeon offers a fresh take on the classic dungeon crawler genre, and it requires and my tips for you are, tip number 1, plan your dungeon layout carefully. As the dungeon master, it's up to you to create a challenging and engaging dungeon layout for the runners. Think about the different types of traps and enemies you can place, as well as the overall flow of the dungeon. A well-designed dungeon will keep players coming back for more. Tip number 2, communicate with your team. If you are playing as a runner, communication with your team is key. Make sure to coordinate your movements and attacks to take down enemies and avoid traps. As the dungeon master, you can also use in-game chat to taunt and distract the runners. Just be careful not to give away too much information. Tip number 3, use your abilities wisely. Both runners and the dungeon master have unique abilities that can turn the tide of the game. As a runner, make sure to use your abilities at the right time. For example, using a shield ability to block incoming damage. As the dungeon master, consider saving your abilities for when the runners are at their weakest. A well-timed fireball can quickly turn the tables in your favor. Game number 9. Ironsight is a free-to-play online multiplayer first-person shooter game available on Steam. Set in the near future, the game features two factions, North Atlantic Forces and Energy Development Enterprise Networks, battling for control of a resource-rich world. The game offers a variety of game modes, including Team Deathmatch, Domination, and Search and Destroy. Players can choose from a variety of weapons, attachments, and character skins to customize their gameplay experience. The game also features a unique iron sights system that allows players to aim down their weapons' sights for increased accuracy. With its fast-paced gameplay, stunning graphics, and innovative mechanics, Ironsight offers a thrilling and immersive FPS experience, and it requires. And my tips for you are: tip number 1, use cover wisely. Ironsight is a fast-paced game, but that doesn't mean you should rush into battle without a plan. Use cover to your advantage and take your time to assess the situation before engaging your enemies. Tip number 2, customize your loadouts. Ironsight offers a wide variety of weapons and equipment to choose from. Experiment with different loadouts to find the one that suits your playstyle and the situation. Number 8, Sherwood Extreme. Sherwood Extreme is a free-to-play arcade shooter game available on Steam. The game features a low-poly environment and offers a parkour-style gameplay experience. Players can save the kingdom by sniping in style, solo or with friends. Sherwood Extreme offers fully functional leaderboards where players can earn their spots at the top. The game is designed for casual and fun gameplay and is perfect for a few matches with friends. Sherwood Extreme was released on Steam in May 2021 and has received mixed reviews from players. And the game is still in development, and the developers are using feedback from the community to improve the game. And it requires And my tips for you are: tip number 1, master the art of swinging and flipping. The game is all about movement and mobility, and being able to swing and flip through the air with precision and speed is key to success. Practice your timing and aim to get the most out of your jumps, and try to chain together multiple swings and flips for maximum effect. Tip number 2, upgrade your weapons and skills. As you progress through the game, you will earn experience points and loot that can be used to upgrade your weapons and skills. Be sure to invest in the ones that complement your playstyle, whether that's a long-range sniping, close quarters combat, or something in between. Tip number 3, play with friends and communicate. Sherwood Extreme offers both single-player and co-op modes, but playing with friends can be a lot more fun and rewarding. Make sure to communicate with your teammates, coordinate your attacks, and share resources and loot to maximize your chances of success. And don't forget to join the Discord community to provide feedback to the developers and stay up to date on the latest news and updates. Game number 7, Get Stuffed is a casual multiplayer party game available on Steam. The game is set in a cozy dining room where players control turkeys trying to gobble up as much food as possible before time runs out. The game offers a variety of game modes, including a cooperative mode and a versus mode, where players can compete against each other to see who can eat the most. Players can also customize their turkeys with a variety of hats and accessories. With its simple yet addictive gameplay, colorful graphics, and fun mechanics, Get Stuffed is a great game for parties and family gatherings, and it requires. And my tips for you are: tip number 1, I highly recommend halting the audio volume for voices. It is for the in-game characters, most particularly whenever they get injured. It can be audibly overwhelming if you get involved in a brawl. All you will hear is ouch, 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 etc. at full volume. Do yourself a favor. Tip number 2. At any point in a match, you can press F1 to see your role, your abilities, and tips about how to play. In addition, you can press Tab to see your score, see all players, selectively mute players, and read the tooltips on your buffs and debuffs. Tip number 3. There is no better way to learn the game than to play some rounds. There is also a training mode where you can swap between all the roles, killers, victims, and antagonists alike. Game number 6. Heroes and Generals. Heroes and Generals is a free-to-play online multiplayer first-person shooter game available on Steam. The game is set during the World War II and allows players to choose between 3 factions: the United States, Germany, and the Soviet Union. Players can choose to play as soldiers, tankers, or pilots, and participate in battle across a variety of maps set in Europe. The game offers a variety of game modes: skirmishes, assault, and war, where players can compete against each other to see who can capture the most territory. With its immersive gameplay, stunning graphics, and historical accuracy, Heroes and Generals offers a unique and exciting World War II experience, and it requires. And my tips for you are: tip number 1, focus on objectives. In Heroes and Generals, the objective is everything. Make sure to focus on the objectives and defend them against the enemy. Don't get distracted by trying to take unnecessary points. Tip number 2, choose your role wisely. Heroes and Generals offers different roles such as infantry, recon, and tank crew. Choose the role that suits your playstyle and the situation. Game number 5, Eraser. Eraser is a challenging game available on Steam that involves chasing an eraser up a gauntlet of cannons, planes, and projectiles. The game requires players to punch, dodge, and parry their way through the air, get sent plummeting, and do it all over again as they hone their skill. Eraser also offers cooperative online play. The game has received mixed reviews from players, with some praising its challenging gameplay and others criticizing its repetitive nature, and it requires a. And my tips for you are: tip number 1, focus on survival. The game is a survival game in a world of endless hardcore, where your goal is to survive hordes of hungry and bloodthirsty mutants. To increase your chances of survival, you need to stay alert, keep moving, and collect as many resources as possible. Be sure to use your skills and game talents to improve your chances of winning. Tip number 2, increase the chain. To improve your performance in Eraser, you should first do 4 to 5 fast massives 3-4 blocks to increase the chain. This will help you accumulate resources and gain an advantage over your opponents. Focus on collecting 2 of the most widespread colors on the board, filling up to 80%, erasing the more expensive color, and continuing to accumulate the second color in the stock. Tip number 3, use graffiti matches. In Eraser Elite mode, you can use graffiti matches to form massives and increase the chain. To do this, you need to learn the track and know which colors to collect. The game provides videos to illustrate that strategy, which can help you improve your performance in Elite mode. Game number 4, Dirty Bomb, is a free-to-play multiplayer first-person shooter game available on Steam, developed by Splash Damage and published by War Chest. The game is set in a post-apocalyptic London, contaminated with toxic gas after a disaster known as the Dirty Bomb incident. Players can choose to play as either the mercenaries hired by the Central Disaster Authority (CDA) or the criminal syndicate known as the Jackal. The game features 2 playable modes: objective and stopwatch. The 8 maps, teamwork, and communication are crucial in completing various objectives and winning the round while fighting both the opposing team and the clock. The game has received regular updates and bug fixes, and the developers continue to challenge gamers, and it requires. And my tips for you are: tip number 1, understand the stats of the guns you use and those of enemies. Knowing the damage, rate of fire, and other stats of your guns and those of your opponents can give you a significant advantage in battles. Tip number 2, focus on objectives. Completing objectives is the key to winning the game, so make sure you prioritize them over kills. Tip number 3, plant C4 in defendable locations and create barriers for C4 C4 to buy time. This can help you defend the objective and prevent the enemy team from disarming the C4. Game number 3, Black Squad, is a free-to-play military first-person shooter game available on Steam, developed by NS Studio and published by Valve. The game offers a variety of game modes, including team deathmatch, demolition, assassination, and more. The game features a wide range of weapons and equipment, allowing players to customize their loadouts and playstyle. Players can also earn rewards by completing daily and weekly missions, leveling up, and participating in events. The game has received regular updates, including new maps, weapons, and game modes. With its fast-paced gameplay, stunning graphics, and intense action, Black Squad offers an exciting multiplayer experience, and it requires. And my tips for you are: tip number 1, practice makes perfect. Spend time practicing in bot matches to improve your aim and get familiar with the game mechanics. Tip number 2, utilize special combat skills. Take advantage of the special combat skills available to you in the game. These skills can give you an edge over your opponents and help you win the matches. Tip number 3, master your weapons. Learn the strengths and weaknesses of each weapon in the game and choose the one that suits your playstyle. Practice with different weapons to find the one that works best for you. Game number 2, SCP Secret Laboratory, is a free-to-play first-person multiplayer horror game available on Steam. The game is heavily based on the SCP Foundation series and its expanded universe. The game is set in a scientific facility overrun by the terrifying anomalies being studied. The Foundation focuses on protecting the world from any entity, object, or phenomenon that poses a threat to humanity. SCP allows players to play as one of the multiple roles known to be an SCP containment breach. The game has received mixed reviews from players, with some praising its horror elements and others criticizing its bugs and glitches. And it requires. And my tips for you are: tip number 1, understand the objectives and mechanics of the class you are playing. Each class has a different objective, equipment, and abilities, so it's essential to know how to use them to your advantage. Tip number 2, communicate with your team. SCP Secret Laboratory is a team-based game, and communication is crucial for success. Make sure to use your microphone, chat, or radio to coordinate with your team. Tip number 3, learn the weaknesses of SCPs. SCPs are formidable opponents, but they also have vulnerabilities that you can exploit. For example, SCP-096 can be neutralized by wearing a blindfold, and SCP-173 cannot move when it's being observed. And coming to the game number 1 of this stupid list is my personal favorite, Blood of Steel. Blood of Steel is a free-to-play 3D first-person action combat game available on Steam. The game is developed by Chinese game developer Evolution Studio and published by their parent company YC Games. Blood of Steel features hundreds of historical heroes from all over the world, including Joan of Arc, Caesar, and Alexander. Players can lead them and their army of thousands of soldiers to defeat their enemies on the epic battlefield. The game offers various modes, including rank mode, siege the castle, and strategic battle. Blood of Steel is based on the Cold Weapon era and allows players to control famous Eastern and Western military generals. In the parallel world, lead the world's powerful and become the legend, and it requires. And my tips for you are: tip number 1, know your heroes. Each hero in the game has different characteristics and abilities. Take the time to learn about each hero and choose the one that suits your playstyle. Tip number 2, use terrain to your advantage. Clever use of terrain can give you an edge over your opponents. Use obstacles and cover to protect yourself and ambush your enemies. Tip number 3, time-based tactics. Timing is everything in Blood of Steel. Choose the best tactics for each situation and make sure to execute them at the right time to gain the strategic advantage. And now, ladies and gentlemen, sadly the list has an end, and I know you enjoy watching every second of it. of these different games I brought to you today. If you like the video, consider subscribing. It's totally free and harmless choice. And hit the like button because why not? And if you know any other game, please let me know about it in the comment section and I'll make other great lists for you. Oh wait, you didn't watch me playing this god-awful game before? Go check it out. You won't regret, believe me. See ya!